Okay, so welcome to another Battlefield video. This is a defense of WhitePass, and this is Luton. So on this game we started off actually only with 4 guys up against a full team basically. So we're outnumbered about 2 to 1 right now at the start, but we figured we'd play this round through, see how it goes. Bit of panic recoil there from me, but quite a good little catch out there. Those guys didn't spot me. Now there's going to be a few things I want to cover in this video. It's not the longest video. There's a bit of a weird graphical error there. That UAV looked a lot closer than it actually was. But anyway, yeah, a couple of things I wanted to cover. This was a really great defensive game from us. We managed to stop them from rushing through us. I think there was a lot of tight communication here at the start where they were trying to move over this way. There's obviously a couple of different ways you can go on this base. Now, as I've said before, this first base is pretty much the key to this whole map. It's not impossible to defend after this base. In fact, there's several points that it's very easy to defend still. But I always feel that if you can take this first base as an attacking team, you have a strong chance of winning the entire round. So this, for me, this is like a crucial base, and I always say to my guys, if we hold this, we can hold the game. So, I mean, that's pretty obvious, because if you hold this, you win. Oh, there we go. So when we started off, we had 3 guys against 7. I think it ends up being about 8 on 8 at the end. Now, a couple of things I just want to point out. See, they do move in and they do get the plants, but a very important thing, which I will cover in a moment, is the way in which we've had the guys defending. Now, I'm not running in here because my job really at the moment is, in this position that I've taken, and people that know my videos and my games, I like to try and take positions where I can cover multiple points, okay? But, and the key point is, I wouldn't be able to really get up to A because I'd have to run and move upstairs, okay? But I can get to B from here. I can jump and parachute, and I can be on B in a few seconds. So although I'm further out from the base, I can actually still defend from this position, okay? This position is good where I'm here. You've got some defensive cover from the wood pile here, although that is destructible. I can cover the road and the tree line over here. I can also cover the base to an extent. I can cover A as I was doing. I can cover people coming around the back from the construction building. So it gives you a lot of sight here. It's quite a flexible position, and it allows me to do quite a lot. See, like this, I can stop them moving back into the base to kind of reinforce their arm on that. Oh, I was running low on ammo here, so... Now you can see here at the start, despite the fact that they have double the numbers, they are getting into the base and they are planting. But our guys are quite hot on defusing that. These games where you have less people are much more difficult, because the maps in Battlefield obviously are designed for large amounts of players. So when you have fewer players, it can be more difficult. However, having said that, we've played several games recently, and it's not always that for attacking people with low numbers it's more difficult. Sometimes I would say that having low numbers for attacking can actually be an advantage, because when you have low numbers it gives you a lot more tries, okay? So you can try lots of different things, you can stealth in. There is another thing which I think of, which is called drawing your enemy, okay? So if you have a game like this where it's heavily defended, what they could do is the enemy can sit back, and what can happen is the defenders get bored, nothing really going on, no enemy really attacking, and people start to think, well, they're not really trying, so we're going to get out there and get stuck into them. This is a huge mistake, and this is something that I've been talking to my guys about. I'm actually going to do some videos soon, I say soon if I get the time, and definitely going into Battlefield 3 to cover some specific tactical moves and errors that people make. Things like basically full attacks when people rush in, like I say, defensive draw, where you as defenders get pulled out from the base, okay, and a couple of other things. But these are basically very specific generic problems that come up in games regularly, and they often make a team that were in a strong position become in a very on the back foot losing position, okay? through in effectively a totally unnecessary way. Like, they had no need to move out, and if they'd have just stayed put, they'd have won the game. But because of their impatience and their trigger happy wanting to get into the action, it ends up losing them the whole round. Whereas if they'd just stayed calm, stayed put, stayed disciplined, they would have had a very strong win. Okay. So at the moment, what we're doing is just holding our positions. I'm communicating with my guys who are back in the main building. And you see they're still getting plants. Now our team is split pretty 50-50. We've got 3-ish guys over here, probably about 4 in the base. Okay. But the thing is, it only takes one guy to quickly run in. Remember what happened here. This guy on the right. Yeah, they're camping in the kind of generator room here on the right-hand side. And big mistake actually for me. I did go for the res, probably not the best idea there. I probably should have focused on clearing this room. Luckily we managed to get that defended, clearing that guy out over there. That was a bit of a chancy lucky thing though. It wasn't the best move for me to res that guy. I really should have cleared that room. And this is the thing, although I cover a lot of things in my game and I say do this, don't do this, you know, that was a good thing to do, that was a bad thing to do, when you're actually in a game, you often have seconds to make a decision on what you're going to do. So, you know, nothing I ever say is, you know, as far as I'm concerned, a set rule or you must always do this. You have to judge each situation on its merit, and sometimes you're going to make the wrong choice, sometimes you're going to make the right choice, sometimes you've got no way of knowing if it was the right choice or not. You just have to use your knowledge and so on. Where I'm shooting at right now, this is quite a common position to look at for these guys behind these. They often will come up around the construction building behind those barrels and then put some fire down. Now something I'm going to go over quickly is basically this thing that I've been talking to my guys about, and I will make a full video about it, and it's called the Golden Circle. And it's something that I've been bringing up more regularly recently with my guys. And again, it's one of these things where I say it's not a set-in-stone rule. You shouldn't do it without question every single game. But it's something that I think is an important thing to remember. What it is when you're in a defensive game, and sometimes when you're in an attacking game, although in a slightly different way, when you're in a defensive game, the Golden Circle is the distance that you can run from the MCOM stations, or even perhaps a conquest base. It's the distance that you can be safely at, so that you can still run back to defuse in time. Okay. Now, where this comes into play is basically, if you have been pushed out by the enemy, okay, that is to say, if they are drawing you out, as I was saying before, because nothing is happening, okay, all it takes is one person to stealth around, get a plant, okay, and then if you are too far away that you can't get back to that base to disarm it, then you've already lost it, okay? It doesn't even matter whether you can get back there safely, it doesn't even matter whether that guy is alive, because if you can't run the distance to get back to defuse before it blows, then there's no point even going for it, and you've effectively lost already. So when you're defending, unless you have flexibility of your squads like we have here, okay, so if I said to Dapper or Adrian or Callie or any of these guys, I say, look, there's 2 to 3 guys on the left here, I want you to run out and get into them, okay? Now we can do that because we still have other people as backups, alright? But the mistake that happens is when you're often in a public game, or sometimes even a team game. I've seen it happen with our team's games. People get distracted, I get distracted. I've played games where I get distracted and suddenly, without knowing, I'm very far away from the base and I'm like, right, I need to get back as fast as I can. It only takes one person to get in and get a quick, easy plant. They might even die whilst planting if someone throws a grenade or whatever, or snipes them from a distance perhaps, maybe they get sniped. All that matters is that you are at a distance that you can run back to. Now, it sounds so simple, but I will do some little illustrations and so on to just make the point, because I believe it's a really key, important point to do when defending. Because in Battlefield, the maps are so huge, there is a very, very large temptation for people to start running around all over the map, or, you know, people don't have the same, you know, people want to be very run and gun and they want to get stuck in the action. They don't like sitting, waiting patiently, maybe nothing is going on at all. They want to get out, you know, they want to do this, what I'm doing, just mowing people down and getting stuck in, alright? But if you're playing to win, and you're not too fussed about just racking up a kill at whatever expense, okay, it's important. It's important to remember that you need to be in that distance, in the golden circle, okay, the circle around the whole base where you can run back to. And I've been talking to my guys about this, and they have all been, you know, thinking about this, and it works. It works in very, very many games, okay. Now, as I say, there's going to be situations where it's not enough, okay. If you're sort of thinly spread around a base, maybe it's got geographic limitations, like it's very open, like that second base on Harvest Day, okay. You have very little cover. It's difficult to hold a kind of spread around the whole thing, okay. But it is important to try and remember that, try and bring it into play in your games, because if you don't do it, love where Callie goes flying past this. If you don't do it, you're going to have a very difficult situation. You're going to have a very, you know, you're going to have a losing situation, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so just try and think of that in games. I'll do a very short little video about it or something. It's not a complicated tactic, but it's one that I think is very, very important. So overall, this game pretty good. Arguably not too much happening, but good defense by everyone all around. The team that we played against, a little bit stupid. You know, they made some good pushes. Look, you know, they're getting into our base, but they bunched up a lot, which is never a good thing. Too many people close together. Hope you enjoyed this little bit of an overview. Got some more to come soon. Thanks, guys.